Live from New York, it's the show that is wishing Nick Wright a little bit late. Good luck and good wishes at his poker tournament in the Bahamas.
Yes. Nice.
We're still working.
You sure he's at a poker tournament?
I'm not 100%
out on the beach.
Not 100% sure.
Poker.
Right.
We're 2-10. Should the Patriots fans feel good? I know, but before that, when we were getting them flack, feel good about the win. And before I throw it to you, I'm just going to give you the answer. It's a little bit of me hosting and hitting. So I made a quick pie chart with Dusty on how Patriots fan, specifically the Patriots fan on this show. 15% happy for Zappy was cut earlier in this year, came out and dealt.
Yeah,
so you know what?
I
felt a little bit jealous of Giants fans and Tommy DeVito, where the season's pretty much lost, but you had a guy to root for. He's playing well.
I like that.
So 15% happy for Zappy. Next 15%. Yikes for my guy, Mac Jones. Right away, we're like, hold on. Does this offense actually work? Seems like it. Here's the stats on the early offense. First 12 games, we were 5 for 38 on 20 yards passes. Last night, Zappy went 2 for 3. Completion percentage was 13. Last night, Zappy was 66. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Last night, he had a nice play to Hunter Henry for a touchdown. So that's 30%. This wasn't great. This could have been higher, but we're putting 30%. Man, on the verge of losing Caleb. We're still ahead of Arizona because of strength of schedule, but man, we are teetering. But you know what? I'm thinking if we're going to win and I'm going to flirt with not having Caleb, next week I got tickets for this one, bro. Taking the kids, yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Might as well. Upset Kansas City. It's on the board.
They've been pointing toward that game.
It's on the board.
Upset?
The other thing that's happening.
They can't score. Neither team.
They can't score, and the Patriots defense is fantastic. Last few weeks, fewest points allowed since the start of November. The 49ers, who is probably going to win the Super Bowl. The Patriots, who might have a top 3 pick. Dolphins and the Ravens, who also are going to the Super Bowl, according to you. And then, Coach, the last 20%, it's what Peppers was talking about. It's what I'm wondering, and I kind of had a change of heart watching this game. Belichick back? Maybe. I started to think, team's pretty good now. Well, the defense is excellent. Maybe we just had a Mac Jones problem all along. And then I looked across the coaching world and I said, who do I really want to come and take over when we have all this cap space? We'll have a new quarterback. So that's the question. You can talk about Patriots fans, or you can talk about Bill Belichick, whatever you want, Coach.
Well, when I asked you how you felt, and you said that you had mixed emotions, that's what I expected. And then when I asked you how your kids felt, I think that it was probably a lot more pure. So, like, the pure fans are going to be really excited that their team won a game. They beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh on a Thursday night game. That's all huge after all that they've gone through and how bad they've been. So you should naturally be happy if you're a fan for that. And I'd say the only people in the building that may not be happy or maybe worried about how the fans feel would be the marketing department and ownership. But the coaches, the players, they couldn't be more excited. It's painful to go through what New England's gone through this season, and there's only a little bit of time left in the season. So to get this reprieve and now have a long weekend, all that's very good. Zappy was encouraging in the first half. The second half was a pretty big concern. Didn't really produce much at all.
Yeah.
Then back to being Zappy.
Then get a punt blocked, which is shocking. Then almost jump offside. You could go either way with that penalty.
Yeah, we lucked out.
Could he have jumped? So that could have gone south in a hurry. I'd say that from a coaching perspective, or from a fan who wants to be a GM perspective, they're thinking, well, we're going to lose out on the quarterback. I wanted to move on from Bill Belichick. We wanted a fresh start. All those things. You're not going to get a better coaching staff than they've assembled right now. And say what you want about the guys that are there. They're all experienced. They're all knowledgeable. They've all had a ton of success. You can see what they're still doing defensively. The question has been more personnel related than it has been coaching related. But I should say the fans should be very happy that they won.
Very is a lot. Very is a lot. Somewhat happy. Somewhat happy is fine.
I'd say the non-jaded, non-cynical, non-spoiled fans.
It's pure. It's pure.
The pure fans should be very happy to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
Let me start with this, and I'm not any huge Belichick fan or anything like that, but I like what Jabril Pepper said because I don't know about the game plan being great every week. But I respect what Belichick's accomplished. And to me, the notion that they could fire him is ludicrous. I just don't think you fire him. Now, you meet at the end of the season, Bill, we just want to have new personnel come in to help pick the roster, help draft,
with that.
And Belichick doesn't want to do that, then you part ways mutually. I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. But just to fire the most accomplished coach ever, I can't see that. So I like what Pepper said. Now, and if I'm Belichick coach, I got my eye west, just west New York, Buffalo. Oh. I'm looking at Buffalo. Oh, my. That's where I'd be going if I'm Bill Belichick. Now, it was a good win. I agree with Coach. The purists, you have to enjoy winning for the players, for the coaching staff. And look, let's keep it real. There's no guarantee they get the number 1 pick anyway if they lose out. Carolina, may not win a game the rest of the way. And look, I'm not breaking down the all 22 of college football like I am the NFL. But Caleb is dropping in some mock drafts. I'm just saying. I read one today that had Drake May number 1 and Jaden Daniels from LSU, the second quarterback going.
And can we also not forget it's not where you pick, it's who you pick. We picked Tom Brady in the 6th. Who is Mr. Irrelevant? Brock Purdy and the successes. So it's not where you pick, it's who you pick.
And they might get Caleb late, later in the
We don't know that Caleb's a home run.
Yeah, you just don't.
I think he is. Brou, can Cowboys win this game without an A game?
Well, first of all, I'm glad Dak and I are on the same page. Mm-hmm. He recognized they haven't done anything yet. You've beaten a bunch of tomato cans, tomato can upon tomato can, and I got more down here upon tomato can. All right, so we're good there, Dak. All right, now last week, nice win against Seattle. Let's see if you can keep improving. Yeah, Coach, they got to have an A game to win because I think Philly, and we'll talk about it a little more later, I think they're coming out with a vengeance. They're prideful, they're professional, and they know they got stomped last week. Mm-hmm. All right, and they've heard all the talk about Dallas. A lot of people think Dallas is better. They played them tough in Philly. People think they could have won or should have won that game. And so now Philly would love nothing more than to go into Jerry World and put an L on the Cowboys. So I think Dak's going to have to be great, which he has been against Philly.
Yeah.
I think, Duran, I don't know about a pick 6. It'd be great, maybe, but he might need an interception. All right, Micah is going to need to cause some havoc defensively. They're going to need to get a little run game from Tony Pollard. So I do think they need to be on their A game. But, Coach, let's say I'm wrong about all. Let's say Philly isn't playing great. Mm-hmm. Let's say Dallas doesn't play great. Any win is an A game. At this point, any win. Dallas has proven to us that they can blow teams out. They can get style points and all that stuff. But if they beat Philly in an ugly win, and Dak's not great, Jalen's not great, it's just a fight, a brawl, and they win, that's an A for me if I'm the Cowboys, because we know they can win the other way. Mm-hmm. Can they beat a good team in an ugly game? So I'd probably give them an A for any type of win.
Okay. And the real football has been going on the whole season. Maybe that was a little bit of the problem against Arizona. They didn't consider that real football, and you have those games that you have. But to me, where they need the A game is they need the A game in the pass protection. Okay, and they did a good job last time they played Philly. They chipped some on the pass rushers. As long as Dak has some time, then he's going to be able to pick apart Philadelphia's secondary. And they're struggling. They struggle against everybody. They struggled last time against Dallas. It's just whether or not he's going to have the time, and if he doesn't have the time, how well he does of extending plays. That's where they need an A game. The second place, they need an A game in run defense. Okay, so Philly's average 4.1 yards a carry. They're willing to run the ball a lot. They're willing to run the ball consistently. DeAndre Swift's done a great job. He's at about 4.7 yards a carry. That's the other area they have to have their A game if they're going to beat the Eagles. And if they have it in those two areas, then I think they'll be fine.
Coach, can I sell you on a recipe for a blowout?
Sure.
Can you tell me if I'm crazy? Eagles got blown out by the 49ers, and afterwards you said, well, you know what? The Eagles had just come off a long game against Buffalo. They were tired. They played 90-something snaps of the defense. 49ers were rested. Same thing is happening here. The reason I put the blowouts happening, rest, revenge, and rankings. Now, the Cowboys played Thursday. They have more rest. Revenge, number 2. The 49ers wanted revenge. Cowboys want revenge. Since losing to the Eagles, they have scored this many points. 49, 33, 45, and 41 against the Seahawks. They're ready to go. And then finally, the rankings, and you talked about this. Defensive ranks. Philadelphia versus the Cowboys. And I know there's a lot of tomato cans.
You love this.
The Eagles' defense is not good.
Okay.
They're not. So I think Dak is going to sit back and pick them apart. So the idea that this is going to be close, and maybe it will, NFC East game, I get it. But if it's a blowout, I would not be shocked. I'm on the verge of predicting it.
Well,
on the verge.
It's the Eagles secondary, and the Eagles pass coverage in general. It's rough, and they've survived because the defensive line has been so good. But when guys have time, and even if it's a little bit of time, there's a lot of people open and a lot of spaces you can go with the ball.
All right.
You forgot ratings.
What?
In your 3 R's. Ratings. Podcast ratings. All that yapping.
Oh, there'll be a lot of. It'll be unbelievable.
Could be a factor, Coach. I'm just saying.
After beating the Eagles last week. Okay, Coach, you're in a bit of a pickle here because we asked you to comment on this, but you don't really like guys looking in the rearview mirror instead of straight through the windshield. Your reaction?
I have a couple. I don't like. Why are you sharing this? Why are you sharing this?
I knew it.
It's not. You didn't just beat him in the playoffs. So if you have something that you feel is really good, it's proprietary. It's a answer that you figured out that nobody else has. I'm going to put it out there. Maybe you're thinking, oh, other teams will take advantage of it, but you may play that team again. And so if you alert them to, hey, this is what we did, this is what we think of you, well, now you give them a bunch of time to figure out ways that they want to potentially attack that, and they're going to really study your approach to it and figure out weaknesses in that.
You don't think it was a trap?
No, I don't think it was I don't think it was a trap at all.
He wants Dallas to win.
I think guys love to talk about things after the fact and how smart it was and how good it was, and I get that. You appreciate it, but you don't share it. Not till the offseason. Let me show you on tape what he's talking about them doing. This is a pretty good look at it. So in this example, they're actually going to have Fred Warner as a mirror. So he's going to be an extra guy in the pass rush, but he's going to insert late depending on what Hurts does. They're in man-to-man coverage across the board, and the defensive line is just going to build a wall. They're not penetrating up the field. They're just building a wall across the front because they don't want Hurts to step up into the pocket. They'll give him an out to the left or the right. Now, this is what he was talking about in the secondary. You got a plaster, so they're straight man-to-man across the board, no help, and you're just staying with the guy. If he goes to the bathroom, you go with him, and then you can see right here, here's Warner if he decides to escape, but he sits in the pocket, ends up falling down, and Kinlaw gets the sack. But that's the idea is if he wants to vacate, let him vacate left or right. Don't let him vacate up into the middle of the pocket, and then you just need to do a good job on the receivers of sticking to him and making sure the throws are tight throws.
Is that also, do they prefer him to roll out and maybe run versus running up the middle?
That's exactly what it is. They're saying they don't want him to move up in the pocket. They'll let him go left. They'll let him go right. They don't think he's very successful with it. And they also think that the tackle's set so deep that now when he does vacate, he's got to give a ton of ground to do that. And that's taking away strength.
Well, look, Bosa probably thought he was being smart because he wants the Cowboys to win, because if they win, San Francisco's got a better chance. They beat Philly. They've got the head-to-head matchup against Philly, so they got a better chance of being the number one seed.
But don't you think maybe one of the coaches would have talked about it if they wanted that out?
No, I agree.
If you want something out in the world, you can get it out in the world. Okay? There's a difference between a casual interview like, hey, let me tell you how smart we are.
They can talk. Coaches could talk too.
Yeah, they all have interviews, right. And if you want to let things out in the world for other people to consume, you can do it.
Do you think that teams didn't know that about Hurts?
Well, first of all, let's see if it stays consistently a positive thing. Okay, let's before we say this is the answer to the test. Okay, it's worked once, and it's not a a tried and true thing that we can say is a home run against them.
All right, MVP odds. Purdy, number 1. Hurts and Dak tied at 2. 2 and Mahomes have 3 and 4. And that's Lamar at 6. Brou, who needs to play like the MVP in this game, Hurts or Dak?
Well, I think that Philly has proven they can win without Jalen having like a great game. Remember, they were 5-0, and he had 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. When they threw 9 games or 7 games, they're 6-1. He had 9 touchdowns, 8 picks. So he really wasn't playing at an MVP level until midway through the season or after 7 or 8 games. Dallas, on the other hand, needs Dak to be great. Like he's had 2 bad games, San Francisco and Arizona, and they lost both games and were horrible in each game. And so I think Dak needs to be the one. Like you'd like them to play well because the chances are better, obviously, of them winning if both of them play well. But I think for Dak, it's a must for his team and also for the narrative. Like, nobody's doubting whether or not Jalen Hurts will step up in a big game. If Jalen doesn't play well, people are not going to say, oh, he can't do it in big games because he got to the Super Bowl last year and played maybe the best game of his career. They'll just say he just had a bad game or he's banged up, he's injured, whatever the case. But with Dak, that's our question because we've seen him in these last few playoff games. He's 2-4 in playoff games. Even at the end of the Philly game when he played a very good game, but at the end, there was just some decision-making, some uncertainty. And so I think for Dak, for several reasons, has to play like an MVP.
See, I see it the other way. I see it with Jalen, and here's why. They did a really good job. The Cowboys did a really good job stopping them run last time, and I think they're going to do that again. Dan Quinn's going to take away that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Dan had some really creative defenses last time they played, so there were coverages that he had to read. They've got defenders that can not only turn the ball over, but can turn the ball over and return it for a touchdown. They're better in every single defensive category. Plus, you're in a hostile environment. Noise is going to be an issue. You're coming off a game where you don't have any momentum. You've got to recover from that, so you need that leadership. They have all the momentum. They've got the home field advantage, and they're going to be able to score a lot of points, or should be able to score a lot of points against Philly's defense. So I see that it's going to have to be Jalen in the passing game, managing this whole process and doing it really well for them to win.
Does Dallas have a prayer if Dak doesn't play well?
Yeah, I think I don't think he's going to have to play like Superman to win. Okay. I think if the O-line doesn't play well in pass protection, they don't have a prayer.
Brou, you have an NBA MVP vote. You don't have an NFL vote. But if you did, and Dak plays well and loses this game, which means the 3 guys ahead of him, Purdy, he would have lost head-to-head, and he would have lost to Jalen twice, maybe even outplayed Jalen twice, but lost to him twice. Could you cast a vote knowing that he lost those head-to-head matchups?
It's a huge factor. Even the NBA, where you have 82 games, last year was between Embiid and Jokic, and they played once. And Embiid destroyed Jokic, just made him 40-something points on him, drove around him all night. And that was a factor in my mind. So, yeah, with football, where it's only a few, 16, 17 games, Dak losing to Purdy and playing poorly and maybe losing twice to Jalen, it would be a factor. Now, it depends on what Purdy and Tyreek and even Jalen and these guys do going forward as well. But, yeah, that definitely is going to be a negative on Dak if he doesn't win this game.
I would say it eliminates him.
Even if he plays great in the next 3, because they got 3 tough games.
Nah, if you lose
and the other guys might not play. That's my thing. What if Birdie falls?
Maybe if everybody falls off. But if you lose 3 games head-to-head, I looked up like when Rodgers won and lost to Brady in the regular season in Tampa. Remember, he did the discount double check and then was bad. And then Brady beat him in the playoffs later on, and Brady didn't play great in that game. And Rodgers won the MVP, but who was the real MVP that year?
I thought Brady was the MVP.
So it's just kind of weird. All right, best quarterback rivalry in the.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.